talkradio.nyc.
What up, world? What up? What is going on? Your boy is back. Your boy, the one and only nonprofit sector connector, coming at you 2 flights up from the kitchen where I got my coffee. Had to run down there and get some more coffee. In fact, I can't believe we already drank a pot. I think my wife had one of the cups out of the 12 that was in the pot, but I think I drank the rest of them. But anyway, we're good. This show's called Philanthropy and Focus. I am the nonprofit sector connector. I know I am because I made it up and I put it on my business card. So I know I am the nonprofit sector connector. Although in my world, I am, I don't know if the right word is anointing or deputizing, but I am certainly connecting with many other people who I'm looking down everybody because I got to get a text message out of my phone that I have to read to you all. So I have these other nonprofit sector connectors in my life, and which is so cute because I made the thing up and now I'm calling other people that name. I have a text message from a friend of mine from a few weeks ago, um, and it says it's an article from the Long Island Herald, and it's from my friend Heather Edwards, who you all know if you ever pay attention to this show, Philanthropy and Focus. Heather Edwards is my friend from the Allied Foundation. Millions of diapers she's gotten into the hands of people in need. She sends me this text message and it says, "Perfect partner for an Earth Day podcast." And she sends me this article from the Long Island Herald, and it's about this organization called Balloon Mission. And the little link here says, "Do you know where your balloons are going?" So I'm like, all right, cool. Let's do it. So I said, I'm going to reach out, and that's what I do. So shout out to Heather Edwards. She makes the connection. Go to the website, everybody, balloonmission.org. So my friend Cynthia is here, Cynthia Seibold. Cynthia, and if I pronounce your name wrong, I should ask you right before the show, even though we're friends already. I know your first name. Pronounce your last name for me correctly.
It's Seibold, but
Seibold.
in Germany they say Seibold. I just
So,
want you to know that.
I'm not from Germany. Some people it might surprise you. I know sprechen die Deutsch for Tommy D, but I said the name like they would back in the fatherland apparently, but I did not know I was saying it right there but wrong here. So sea as in the ocean, Seibold, correct?
Yes.
Good. All right, we should have practiced that. We'll deal with Tommy. Tommy will deal with you later on. All right, so we have a lot to talk about before we get into the organization and the cool stuff that you're doing, the very special work that you're involved with and your background and all that. I got to shout out a couple things. This week, the Nonprofit Resource Hub has an event. Well, today's Friday, so next week, March 21st, we're doing an event. So go to nonprofitresourcehub.org if you're in the sector, if this type of work is relevant to you. We have an online conference. It's called Storytelling Amplified, and it's broken down into a couple different segments: AI in nonprofit marketing, leveraging social media, mastering PR and media training, the power of networking. Now, that's a panel discussion that is going to be led by yours truly. And then the nonprofit panel, which brings together a bunch of leaders in the sector to talk about storytelling. Listen, I'm all about the storytelling, man. I don't know about you, but I love to be told the story. And if you hang out with me, you know I like to tell a story. And the thing about it is, storytelling is what draws people in. And I know we're going to do that today. We're certainly going to draw people in with this important information and this important story that we're going to be telling. But it's what makes people connect. And I'll tell you a funny story. I don't know about you guys, but I used to love like being a little kid, like sitting on the ground and crisscross applesauce with your legs. We used to say something else that we don't say anymore, but crisscross applesauce is you put your legs across, right? And you would go to the library and they would read you a book, right? Now, it's funny because all these years later, I do like to read, but sometimes it becomes a challenge to stay on focus. I stare at the same page for longer than I should. So I do like Audible. I do shout out Audible, not a sponsor, but if you ever want to text me, we'll get you on the show. But not, but I love Audible. I love audio. I love the YouTube because you go right to YouTube and you can just watch a book, meaning it's like static picture. And they just read the book. Matthew McConaughey read a book to me not too long ago, his book Green Lights. I say he read it to me. I mean, he read it and recorded it, but I listened to it, so he was reading it directly to me, which makes me laugh because my friend Renee Daniel Flagler, who's the executive director of Girls Inc. of Long Island and an incredible nonprofit leader, has written several books. She has a romance series that she writes under a pseudonym, and then she has her books about motivation, and she has a book called The Dream Journey, which is up here in the attic with me. And I wanted to listen to the book while I was reading it because I have this other friend who told me how great it is. If you listen and read, Cynthia, at the same time, it kind of speeds up. So a guy we know called Jesse Langell, who's an attorney, he reads a ton of books and does like book reviews. So I said, how do you read so fast, man? He said, here's my secret. Sorry, Jesse, I'm letting the whole world know your secret. But he like listens and reads together. So I call up Renee. I was like, Renee, I just got your book, The Dream Journey. And I try to find it on Audible and stuff, and it's not out there. She goes, Tommy, she kind of laughed. She goes, Tommy, there is no audio book for that book. And I said, if I call you around 7:15 tonight, can you read me the book?
And you're still waiting.
She said, absolutely not, Tommy D. I don't have that kind of time to be reading you books. So that's just a little cute joke, and you'll see there'll be plenty of those today. So anyway, so go back to that. Nonprofitresourcehub.org, March 21st, 2024, from 9:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. Listen, it's going to be a wealth of information. The three people I'm going to be interviewing is my friend and colleague Maheen Kaleem, Vice President of Grant Makers for Girls of Color, my friend and colleague Kylie McGrain, who is the founder and executive director of an organization called The Moment of Magic, and my other friend and colleague Erica Floresca, who is the CEO, president, executive director of Long Island Children's Museum. And we were there the other night, Cynthia and I, with a bunch of nonprofit resource hub people. And Erica will be on the show, I believe, on the 5th of April, a couple weeks out. So super excited to have that discussion. And it's really about like, how valuable is your social capital? How important is it? This is what I preach. It's all I do. It's all I talk about. And that's going to be one of those discussions on this coming Thursday. So super fired up about that. And it's on Zoom, gang. You don't have to get in the car. You don't have to. So if it's relevant to you, plug in with that. And then there's one last thing before we get in, maybe 2 or 3 last things before we get into today's show. But what I wanted to say, might send tons and tons of gratitude out to the team at Alzheimer's Disease Resource Center. They asked me to be their MC yesterday. Any excuse that I can do to get in front of a room and make an impact and add value and wear a lavender suit, I'm there for you. So that's the deal. So thank you to Lauren Vlachos for your friendship. Thank you for everything you do for caregivers and certainly people living with dementia and Alzheimer's. And also, thank you for all the cool people that I met yesterday, because that was really special. The exhibitors and certainly the caregivers. And there was a panel discussion with some caregivers, and it was just very, very emotional. And listen, take this away. Self-care is not selfish. Self-care is not selfish. Please take care of yourselves. All right. Long Island Imagine Awards coming up on May 1st, and the applications for the New York City Imagine Awards. That's it. We put it all aside right now. Cynthia Seibold, founder of Balloon Mission, right? The website I said is balloonmission.org. I want to hear all about you and your background. I'm looking at my notes. Underwriting career in the insurance industry for major program accounts like the National Basketball Association. You might have heard of it, the NBA, the National Hockey League, the NHL. And like many other people in New York during the pandemic, things changed. Our lives evolved and careers changed. I will tell you this. Here's a secret, everybody. I walked around, as many of you know, talking about a program called Philanthropy and Phocus. It had a logo. It had a name. I talked about it for 2 years. It didn't even exist other than in me telling the world about it. During the pandemic, here on talkradio.nyc, we launched a show. Today's episode, I think, is 155 or 156 of, you've heard me say it before, something that was just an idea. Do the thing. I got a hug from a woman yesterday at the event because she said to me, Tommy, that story that you just told about your radio show podcast there inspired me to launch my coaching career that I've been talking about for years. She goes, I'm going to do it. And I go, can we hug? Because now, she goes, you don't understand how much you inspired me. Not about me, gang. It's about changing lives, right? It's about impacting others. So thank you for that. Shout out to my friend. I will not mention your name, but I'll just say PM. Thank you. I appreciate you. Cynthia, without further ado, I said that yesterday on when I was emceeing the event. I said there's going to be a lot of ado today, but like without further ado, let's get into this program today. I'm so psyched you're here. Shout out to my friend Heather Edwards. I don't even know if you've met Heather yet. Have you?
No, but I saw her at the event the other day, and she was talking about the diaper program, and I was like, wow, what a great idea.
It's incredible. We're gonna get you. We're gonna all do coffee. We're gonna do something. She's being honored for some. Actually, I got to shout her out. Organization called Pronto is honoring her in a couple weeks. I will make sure I am there. But it's if it's not about it's people helping make these connections and relationships. I can't do this without people making connections for me. Before I know it, our friend Logan is going to tell me we're going to a break. So let's get into this real quick. Tell me about. Let's start with your background, and we're going to go to a break at some point soon, and we'll come right back to it. But tell me what you've done in the past. Tell me about you. I love your background, by the way. Super duper organized. Gang, if you can't see this, we have like whiteboards, stickers on the wall with like multiple post-it notes and stuff like that. Are you a very organized person?
So this is my brain on balloon mission, by the way, and the other side of the office, every wall except for the left one is covered. I have my wins board, I have my events board. 2024 is in progress right now. Future board. I wake up in the middle of the night, and if I'm not writing something down, I'm not sleeping. So
You keep
I have to get it out of my head.
yeah, do you keep like a notepad like by the bedside? Yeah,
Yes.
with you all the time. See, I'll tell you about this. I want to tell you something really cool. I don't know if it works for you. It happens to me. I get a lot of ideas when I'm in the shower, right?
So
Mine.
do I.
So do you have? So my mother bought me these pads that you put in the wall of the shower and this pencil, and it writes. And even when the thing gets wet, I'll hook you up. I mean, like so friggin' cool. Because I swear to you, and I take my phone into the shower because I'm usually listening to something motivational or whatever. But I could probably run my business out of the shower. But the problem is not enough hot water. So if somebody can crack that code, there's this thing that has like unlike stoppable hot water. I forget what it is, but
Yeah.
it's like this grid. It goes on your wall. Right? Somebody's laughing at me right now. Everybody probably. But the thing is,
There has to be something to the shower because I get some of my best ideas first thing in the morning in the shower. I jump out of the shower, I write it down.
I'm gonna hook you up because you didn't. Again, you have to get out of the shower. We got to start our day, everybody. But while to jot things down, and I mean, I'm like literally like framing things out on the. It's a little notepad, but it's
Yeah.
so cool that it's there. There is something about it. Maybe it's a point that we can, like I meditate and things like that. I was at an event after the thing last night, after yesterday afternoon. The team from SCO, Family of Services, asked me to pop by in Garden City, which I did. And I stopped by, and one of these gentlemen who they were ready to go to break. That's funny. So one of these gentlemen who comes over to me goes, Tommy D, they're doing a meditation. Would you come with me real quick? And I go, how'd you know that's my scene? He goes, I didn't, but come with. So I go. It's like 7:30 last night, and I'm at SCO Family Services, and there's a young lady who works with people with intellectual developmental disabilities. She works with people with substance abuse issues and does meditation, and we're meditating right there. And the reason I bring that up is I think for sure there's something meditative about being in the shower. There's something, the water, and also the fact that there's a lot less distractions, especially if you don't bring your
Yeah.
phone in the shower. There's a
Yeah.
lot less distractions when you're there. You can just kind of, and those of us who have one of these acronyms, and most of my listeners know which one we're talking about, the ADHD, but it's for some of us, it's challenging to kind of stay on message and things like that. So I see you're certainly organized, and I know personally for me, I have to put certain tools and devices in place. This like shout out to my coach Summer. She's been working with me, and she told me I've heard of this before from another coach of mine, but the Pomodoro method, which is this Pomodoro clock. So if you guys just Google Pomodoro, it's probably Pomodoro. But I got this thing. I just go to the website. It puts on a 25-minute thing. I can put it on one of my monitors, and I get just focused on that project. And like, no, I'm on. Somebody's watching me, even though it's just a clock. It's watching me, and I get that thing done. So I love talking about that whole thing with ADHD because we are incredibly creative. We have this beautiful brain, but it's just different than some other people's brains. And sometimes we don't always finish all our projects. Spoiler alert. Cynthia, um, we're going to get right back into all this when we come back, because there was a lot I had to set up. There was a lot of gratitude I had to send out. I'm just fired up. We're going to have so much fun. So we're going to go to a quick break. Cynthia and Tommy D. The show is Philanthropy and Focus. The organization is Balloon Mission. We will be right back.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a high-achieving, growth-oriented leader? Are you interested in developing your authentic leadership while creating a healthy, inclusive workplace? Hi, I'm Dr. Mira Brancu, host of The Hard Skills on talkradio.nyc at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, where we discuss how leaders develop the hard skills needed to make a greater impact. We interview experts, have live coaching, and tackle these challenges. Listen to The Hard Skills on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a business owner? Do you want to be a business owner? Do you work with business owners? Hi, I'm Stephen Fry, your small and medium-sized business, or SMB guy, and I'm the host of the new show, Always Friday. While I love to have fun on my show, we take those Friday feelings of freedom and clarity to discuss popular topics on the minds of SMBs today. Please join me and my various special guests on Friday at 11 a.m. on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC. Uplift, educate, empower.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
Through the static, baby. Join me in the attic, baby. That's my boy, Brendan Levy. I call him Uncle Brendan, but that's my boy Brendan singing that song. And I just saw the Goods. That's actually, they're called Damaged Goods, but I saw his band a couple weeks ago, and he rocks out, man. They are so fun. So I saw them at Docks out here on the island in Island Park. So shout out to Brendan. And shout out to the Queens Chamber of Commerce. Had a really special lunch for St. Patrick's Day this week on Wednesday, and I went there. And I met Jack Schlossberg, who is Carolyn Kennedy's son and JFK's grandson, and he was the keynote speaker. So that was so cool. And that was, yesterday was the lavender purple suit. Wednesday was the emerald green suit, gang. You got to do what you got to do. When in Galway, haha, they say when in Galway, you wear the green suit, I guess. All right, so let's get into this really quick. We got, Cynthia, there's so much to talk about, because I was just looking at my notes again. I mean, you have connections with ACDS, you have connections with Maryhaven, so with the IDD population, so much going on. So let's go back to your story, though. Let's start with you. What talk to me about your background, the work you've done, and then we'll get into the organization, please.
Yep. So thank you. I grew up in Queens, very humble beginnings. My mom was a single mom, worked very, very hard, and I got my master's in secondary education, but I didn't, instead of teaching, I went into insurance, where I met my husband, and we have two amazing daughters. I enjoy gardening, bicycling, getting out in nature. I used to work out all the time, like 5 days a week. But since I had COVID, the first and worst, March of 2020, we got hit really hard with that. And like many people in New York, and I feel very grateful. I'm lucky to be here. And I as you saw, I had a career in underwriting. I was
Yeah, tell us about that. Tell us about the career in underwriting, because I mean, just the cool marquee accounts that you were dealing with, like the NBA and the NHL. That sounds like really fun. I mean, listen, I sell employee benefits. I don't want to like be. I don't. I was about to say that sounds like a lot of fun, as in insurance and fun in one sentence doesn't always make sense unless you might say not fun. So, but shout out to all my insurance people. But I mean, tell me about that. It sounds like at least you were connected to really cool organizations.
You know what? I have to tell you, throughout my career, I landed in as a sports underwriter, but prior to that, like, I'm a New York underwriter, and we worked New York accounts and anything domiciled in New York. And so like from an underwriting standpoint, I felt like I was helping my clients. We were building relationships, controlling losses. And I have to tell you, the the thing that I loved about insurance, because I loved my job.
Yeah.
I have this insatiable curiosity of the world. And so whether it was a contractor or getting Lincoln Center as one of my accounts, the New York Public Library, and going out on surveys and going into the denizens of the library, and then later on with sports. So we had the workers' comp, the general liability. We were handling all sorts of you know, so we had all the teams, so we're looking at things at a very macro level at program business, but also drilling down to micro levels. Like, okay, we're doing a winter park in Columbus, Ohio for the Columbus Blue Jackets All-Star Weekend. And what do we need to we're certainly not going to put the ice skating rink next to a beer garden. Like, like, so there were lots of fun
But so
things. It
that's
was a
interesting. So that's very consultative from the underwriter, from the risk management perspective, and not like just saying like an after the fact, okay, here's your policy, here was what it's going to cost. But during the planning stages of something like that, let's not put the beer garden and the ice rink together. That's just asking for some challenges. It's not the best move to get
yes.
have too many cocktails and then put ice skates on. I think that's just something to be, maybe understood, but sometimes people need to be educated on that. Maybe isn't the best idea.
And this was how we worked. I had a tremendous relationship with our brokers, and it was solving problems, and it was, how can we get this done, rather than just saying no.
I
you
love that.
know and
That doesn't always
and
happen. See, I want to point that out, everybody, because when we thinking, I've been a salesman my whole life, and there's always like this kind of cute knocking of heads between sales and service, or sales and underwriting, and things like that. And like when we all row in the right direction, excuse me, the same direction, when we're all going and we go, hey, listen, man, how do we say yes to this? Like, versus that's just like, we were talking earlier today, you and I, before the show, and I said, you said, Tommy, your energy, I always love when we're connecting, your energy so high. And listen, gang, your boy's not always up, but most people aren't going to know when he's down, man. Like, that's the thing. That's like what it is. And it's like how you make those decisions. And what, I used to have there was a CEO of a company I used to work for, and the attitude was, how do we say yes? You're not going to win every account, you're not going to get every group, but how do we say yes? Like, so we're being thoughtful, and because just as the sheer fact of how do we get to a yes is, well, now we're thinking differently, versus like I don't want to call out underwriters, but just service in general, or sometimes underwriting. It's like, oh, let's just get to a quick no. Well, but wait, hang on. And on the other side, the salesperson is like, well, wait, maybe we can do this. But when it's aligned, like you're saying, it's a game changer for the company, but it's a game changer for the clients, right?
Exactly, because it's everybody involved,
Yeah.
right? It's the client, it's the broker, it's a very team approach, and it's listening, because you need to be able to listen and understand what the problems are, what the issues are. It's negotiating and trying to find solutions that, look, it's all very nuanced, and the same thing in the nonprofit world, right? Everything is nuanced. You you have people who are coming at things with different perspectives, and you have to be able to hear what it is that they're saying, and then soften the approach so that we could all meet in the middle
Okay.
and make changes.
Love that.
because
We talk about emotional intelligence now. That's what we're really talking. Soften the approach, right? Empathy. That's what I'm hearing you say. Like, and I hear your heart saying it. And look, I don't know why these things come up in my work. Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary Vaynerchuk, VaynerMedia, Gary V. I will tell you, between watching Gary V, and also I will send some love out to my friend Charles Weinraub, the handsome home buyer. I was on his podcast a number of years ago, and in watching guys like this, Gary V had this thing where he says, if you want to do something and you love something, whatever that thing is, like, build content around that. That's philanthropy and focus. Like, that's what it is. And I shout out Gary V because it's a very heart-centered organization.
yeah.
I forget it's chief people officer's name. It might be Claude, her name is, but she's like the chief heart officer of the organization. Like, and we hear people, the chief people officer, vice president of people, right? And because that's who you're managing, and those are your team members or people. So I love the soften the approach thing. So again, insurance can be fun when you find the fun
I
stuff.
thought so.
Yeah, right on,
I-
right on.
And the way I always looked at my job is that I was making a difference. I was helping people I was helping companies manage their loss source exposures. So we're controlling the claims. We're, making it a safe place to work. Like, we're helping.
Yeah.
And so it was an easy transition. Well, nothing about the nonprofit was easy. But it was, it spoke to me because I was still helping in a different capacity. And since starting Balloon Mission, I've been building this network
Yep.
in the environmental and waste management sectors, figuring out how we could all work together. And I joined organizations that not only would teach me about this space, but put me in the direct line of creating impact, working with marine biologists, researchers, environmentalists.
Yeah.
I'm a member of the Marco Marine Debris Work Group. It's a cooperative of 5 mid-Atlantic states, partially funded through NOAA. I'm on the NOAA Marine Debris Work Groups. Balloon litter is one of the action items under the Marine Debris Prevention. And so I'm on Consumer Debris Work Group, the Community of Practice, which is education and outreach,
You're all
as
in.
well.
Like, you're all in this work, right?
All
And I'm going to ask you why in a
in.
second. I'm going to ask you why is this even a thing, right? And you and I have talked about it, and like, you've changed my mind on a lot of things already, just from the couple weeks we know each other. I do have to ask a very important question. It's very important. You're from Queens. Shout out Queens, my favorite borough. I'm not even apologizing anymore with this nonsense. I used to be like, oh, everybody's gonna care. Like, nobody really cares, Tommy D, if you like Queens more than you like the Bronx. But Queens is my borough. I love Queens. I spent the first year of my life when I was first born in Queens. Shout out to Belrose, Queens. And then when my wife and I got married, we bought an apartment in Glen Oaks, Queens, right back to Belrose. And many, many, many of my friends and people I care about are from Belrose, Queens Village area. Here's the important question. Is your husband also from Queens?
He is not.
All right. So
He's
that's
a
not
Long Island boy.
even Long Island. All right. So even more for where this question is going to go. All right. Because it's not gonna change our friendship. I'm gonna love you either way. But some people, I think, know where we're going right now. Are you a Mets fan or are you a Yankees fan?
Oh no.
Don't even.
We're a house divided here.
Okay. All right.
He's Mets. I'm Yankees.
Come on. You're a Queens kid. What are we talking about? How does that happen?
I think, it just was early growing up, but it's who you're surrounded with.
I know it.
And the Yankees, but I'm a New Yorker.
All right.
Bottom
I can dig
line,
it. I can
and
dig
I
it.
support everybody.
All right,
And I'm a
I'm
New
not
York
mad.
Rangers fan. So
You're a Rangers fan.
yeah.
All right. So listen, hockey, I can go. Look, I grew up. I'm a Long Island kid, so if I had to make a choice, it would definitely be the Islanders. Don't go to a lot of hockey games, but I do love. I love to watch hockey in the playoffs, because like
Hockey that is my sport right
all right, so
there.
we gotta get
And
you out to a game. Shout out to my friends over at Jovia. They took me to a game. I was in the Dime Box, which is like this bougie, like all the food you can eat box early in the season. I think it was
yeah, no, I know all about bougie boxes.
You do? All right, so we'll hang out. We're gonna have fun with that. All right, so listen, I will tell a quick story before we go to break. Some of you know I have a bunch of kids. And one of my children thought that he was going to be a Yankee fan and started to give me the business. And my mother-in-law
He
is a big
thought.
He thought, right? So my mother-in-law started to try and make him into a Yankee fan, and I was like, "Look, D, that's not going to work. You know, what are you doing?" And she got a real kick out of it to like try and do that to us. Like, and then we were so then we got tickets to a Friday night game, and Pete Alonso ties the record in that game. And then Pete Alonso breaks the record the following night, and I had him at both games, and he's in for life. Let's go Mets, baby. Shout out to Mick Collins. I know you were named after Mickey Mantle, and I know you love when I talk about my Metsies. Let's go Mets. The Mets are undefeated in the regular season so far, gang. It's going to be a big one this year. We'll see how that all goes. Cynthia, we're going to go to a break. We come back. I want to talk this transition from your other job to now your mission, the balloon mission. How's that sound?
That sounds great.
We're right back.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host the program Philanthropy and Phocus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
Were you an essential worker during the pandemic? If you needed to learn stages of epilepsy, did you depend on advocates? Did you use new innovations to cope with mental and neurological issues? Maintaining high quality of life and keeping good mental health are what we all strive for. I'm Frank R. Harrison, host of Frank About Health, and each week top healthcare influencers, professionals, and innovators answer these questions and more. Stay tuned on Thursdays at 5 p.m. on talkradio.nyc, and I will continue to be frank about health with all of you.
Are you a business owner? Do you want to be a business owner? Do you work with business owners? Hi, I'm Stephen Fry, your small and medium-sized business or SMB guy, and I'm the host of the new show, Always Friday. While I love to have fun on my show, we take those Friday feelings of freedom and clarity to discuss popular topics on the minds of SMBs today. Please join me and my various special guests on Friday at 11 a.m. on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
All right, gang, we're back. We are back. We're back. Cynthia Seibold is with me, and not literally in the attic, but in the virtual attic that I have created. And then there's this whole attic inside of my head. That's another thing, but we don't have all the time to get into that shenanigans. Shout out to the word shenanigans. What a cool word. And it is the Feast of St. Patrick on Sunday. And it's also, I got to send some love out to a good friend of mine who I know who listens into the show. And I say listens in because my friend Robert Rosner has not cracked the code on exactly how to watch this show on Facebook or YouTube or anything like that. Now, Robert, I love you. Happy birthday on this Sunday, the Feast of St. Patrick and the Feast of Robert Rosner. So I know you're digging that. So send me a text later on. We'll talk. Cynthia, let's get into this. Why the balloon mission? Like, what was like, how did this even come into your purview? You're in the insurance space. You're an underwriter. You're a Yankee fan. I don't understand how, but oh, sorry, I forgot the Yankee fan. What did this for you? I don't understand how it happened.
So what happened was during the pandemic, we had a lot of loss, and I was down at the beach a lot, just finding some peace, and noticing a lot of marine debris, a lot of litter, and a ton of balloon litter. Balloons, foil balloons, latex balloons wrapped up in ribbons. And I started doing beach cleanups with the Atlantic Marine Conservation Society, and which they're tremendous organization. And I started saying, okay, well, these beach cleanups definitely do the job, but it almost felt like an effort in futility because the next time I was back at the beach, there's more debris. And I'm in my underwriting mind, I'm like, how can we get in front of this? How can we collect balloons? Can we recycle balloons? Can we take it out of the standard waste stream? So I started doing research. I did a feasibility study. And I also was like, I'm also a very logical and practical person, and balloons just seem ridiculous to me. Like, I can't be going in this direction. But Tommy, everything happened so organically.
Yeah.
And I thought, and the other thing too was we're having a climate crisis, right? There's nobody takes any ownership of the things they're buying and throwing away. It's always like, okay, well, I did my job, I threw it away. But we
Yeah.
create
Where's it
so
go?
much trash.
I always think that too. First of all, I love the fact that some people right now might be listening to this program and going, are we having a climate crisis? Like, this is debatable still in some people's minds. Anyway, gang, not getting political, but for real. All right. So, I remember, like, so I'm 46 years old, and what I'm about to tell you, to be honest with you, I'm embarrassed to say, but I remember a time when you would have like a Big Mac and a Coke and stuff like that, and you might just throw it out the window, like right out the window. Like no big deal. Like it was like, and I still see people do that. Not a whole bag of food, like wrappers and stuff, but I do drive into a parking lot sometimes and pull in, and somebody had just had their Burger King, well, whatever. It doesn't have to be a fast food. It was just, oh, I'm done with this tray of food. I'm going to toss it out the window. I'm just going to leave it here in the parking lot. Like that was like, was born in 78, gang, grew up in the 80s and 90s, and tragically that was what went on. Like that was, you just toss things out the window or throw them in
That's right.
the bushes. Like that
And do
was,
you know where that goes? That all during one good storm goes down the drain out into the oceans. So, and then washes up on the beach. And I'll tell you, I'm just a normal everyday person. Like, there's a sense of, you get a little overwhelmed when you turn on the news and you see all this stuff happening and you go, well, what can I do?
Right.
And I think with whatever days I have left on this planet, I wanted to give back in some way. And once I said, okay, this is the thing, I have this vision, I have this solution, I'm going to try and do something about it. Because whether it's a plastic bag or a plastic straw, I'm taking on balloons out in the ocean. When I started doing the research, and there was a ton of research worldwide, this is a problem.
Yeah.
There's a study that was done. The Ocean Conservancy reported that balloons are the #1 killer of seabirds and the third leading killer of sea turtles. Sea turtles are sea turtles have been around for like thousands of years. They're as old as dinosaurs. They're so vital to our ecosystems. They maintain the coral reefs. They they eat the jellyfish and hold down those populations. This was something that it all started just falling into place. And I talked to really smart people because I'm like, is this crazy? Am I going to be the loony balloony lady? Like what?
First of all, you are, if you keep making comments like that, the loony balloony lady. Anything that rhymes is funny to me. So that's come on now. I mean, I call my show Philanthropy and Focus with a PH in front of the Ocus. You know what I mean? Come on. Like, I think the loony balloony lady between, Lonnie Sherman and here on Long Island from General Needs, who calls himself the underwear man, helping out the veterans. My friend Heather Edwards, who calls herself the diaper lady. And I got the loony balloony lady. We got to be careful. That might stick. But like, I want to, in all seriousness, you're at that crossroads and saying, am I going to be looked at like somebody who's kind of out of her mind? But so that at some point you had to make this decision and go, look, it sucks. And it is what it is, or it sucks. And I'm going to invest my time, effort, energy, blood, sweat, and tears into making. So why you? Why did you say I got to do this?
So I think because it was so organic, and I did a feasibility study. I figured out how to make it happen. And then I spoke to some really smart people, and people who I respect. And they were like, this is incredible. You came and so there was research that was done that talked about, and it is this balloon release research in Virginia and reducing balloon debris through community-based social marketing. So there was all this science. This was a 5-year study that was done. And they talked it was very inclusive. It said, listen, we know people love balloons. We're not going to be balloon haters. We want to teach people how to balloon responsibly. We do want to stop these intentional balloon releases from happening for memorials and celebrations. It's a deliberate litter.
Yeah.
And they are figuring out how to discourage that behavior while promoting alternatives and environmental stewardship. To
Yeah.
me, I felt like we came half circle, and that we needed to come full circle. You have your outreach and education, but then we also have this collection and recycling program. So we're directly taking the balloons out of the standard waste stream. We're recycling them. And the biggest problem with balloons, Tommy, is that people don't know they're a problem. And I have these conversations with people all the time. They're like, well, I'm more concerned with food insecurity and housing and all this, but it all matters, right? And we all need to chip away at these problems. And this isn't going to happen in my lifetime, but our kids need a healthy and clean world.
Yeah.
And if we can raise awareness, and that's why we do our outreach programs in schools.
So talk about
And
that.
we're
What does
at
that look like? What is the outreach? I want to understand. First, even before that, where you tell me that it's the number one killer of birds, it's the third leading killer of sea turtles. Why else is this a problem?
No, that's great. That's a great question. It's not just marine life. What goes up must come down, and that those balloons are coming down on land and sea. There are ranchers in Florida who have their hay bales, and the balloons were falling down, and their livestock was eating and dying from the. So if it's out there, it's a hazard, and it's a threat. And so balloons also, foil and mylar balloons, they are sprayed with an aluminum coating. And when they come this is a conductor of electricity. And so when they hit power lines, they spark fires, cause power outages. In Long Beach,
Oh my God.
they had a foil balloon that hit a power line a couple of months ago. They were out for 80 minutes. Another thing that happens with balloons is there's no such thing as an environmentally friendly balloon. Like many people will say latex are biodegradable, but they're injected with these chemicals and polymers, and they leach in and devalue the soil. And they also break down, it takes years to break down a balloon. So this is just a
Eventually, I have
hazard
to
out.
imagine those hazards and those chemicals are going to get into our water supply, right? And then it just comes in,
Yep.
and then it ends up in my body. And then so, gang, listen, let's just say you don't care about sea turtles. Let's just say that. Well, do you care about electricity? Of course you do, because you can't power up your iPhone and stare at TikTok unless you can plug it into the wall. And so I'm trying to be fresh a little bit, gang, because I want you to pay attention. But the idea is it costs money because, infrastructure issues, right? Flooding issues, I'm sure, from this stuff. So I want to go into this education thing. And when we do go to a break at some point, we'll come back and we'll talk about, how we can help and how we can be part of the solution. And I want to read my notes really quick. You've directly messaged over 13,000 students to get the word out, but I know there's this collection sites and these, what do you call your receptacles? Are they buckets or
So
pails?
we have balloon bins. So once the fun is done,
Yes.
people pop and drop all their deflated balloon materials into our bins.
Yep.
And we partner with adults with developmental disabilities.
Yep.
Over 200 people who are going around to our locations. We have about 30 active locations where they pick up the balloons, bring them back to their day have facilities where they sort them between foil and latex. Foil is also mylar.
Yep.
And they provide the numbers for us. It's a very symbiotic relationship.
Yeah.
We're giving them the opportunity to practice life skills out in the community.
Yep.
And they love this program, and we love having them.
All right. So first of all, kudos to you for seeing that. I mean, it's a very, this is going to sound like it's not important when I say very common, but it's many of our nonprofits realize the opportunity there is to partner up with other organizations who are serving our population of individuals with intellectual developmental disabilities. So I love that you've gotten involved with that. Two of my friends who I don't know if you had a chance to actually connect with the other night, but Amy Zaslansky and Eileen Minogue from the Book Fairies have certainly, even before Eileen took over as the executive director there, Amy had really cracked the code working on something with like 80 different organizations serving people with intellectual developmental disabilities. Those individuals go up to the Bronx, they go out to Long Island, all over the place, picking up books and bringing them to the Book Fairies, and then it's just really, really cool work. I love that you got partnered up with that. I have to ask you a quick question, then we got to go to break. Do you know the Muffin Man? I don't know why that. You remember that song? Do you know the Muffin? Do you know the Winter Center for Autism?
I do. And I did send an email out that way when I first started, and I didn't get any traction there.
Chris Ponzio, if you're listening, I'm texting Chris during my show. This is how the show works. Chris Ponzio is the executive director of Winter Center for Autism, founded by the Winters Brothers family. Winters Brothers, the big recycling and waste management company here on Long Island. But I'm going to text Chris because this is right on brand. The Winter Center is all about vocational training and vocation placement for individuals with IDD, intellectual developmental disability. So during the show, I'm texting Chris. I'm like, I need to talk to you right away today so we can connect, because that's so on brand with their connection to the work you're talking about and then the environmental stuff. All right, we're going to go to break. When we come back, we're going to talk about how do we help? What can we do? How do we get involved? I know so it's the outreach and then it's the recycling side of things, right? So it's the outreach and then it's these, give me the bin. They're called bins, right?
There are balloon bins.
Balloon bins. So you have a fun time with language. Balloon bins, right? And then you said, I don't know if you have a marketing background too, but you said when the fun is done, they pop and drop. I pick these things up because I think it's cute. So when we come back, it's always the end of the show when we go, how do we help? What can we do? I need to take a breath. We'll be right back.
Are you a high-achieving, growth-oriented leader? Are you interested in developing your authentic leadership while creating a healthy, inclusive workplace? Hi, I'm Dr. Mira Bronku, host of The Hard Skills on talkradio.nyc at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, where we discuss how leaders develop the hard skills needed to make a greater impact. We interview experts, have live coaching, and tackle these challenges. Listen to The Hard Skills on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host a program, Philanthropy and Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
I said I got to meditate last night a little bit at the at SCO Family Services, and sometimes you just got to chill out, right? So sometimes I say namaste. Namaste in the attic, baby. That's what I say. All right, let's do it. We're back. Let's go. You thought he was going to be a little mellow. Tricked you. All right, so the mission of this organization is to collect balloons after people are finished using them, but before they end up in the trash, causing harm to the environment, the wildlife, and even us because of the microplastics and the nanoplastics that I said earlier get into our bodies. That'd be a whole nother show. Balloon Mission's motto, collect, protect, preserve, which aims to collect all foil and latex balloon pieces and ensure that they are safely disposed of so we can protect the animals and preserve our ecosystems. Through our inspiring outreach programs, people are taking an active stand against plastic pollution while celebrating life's moments responsibly. Now, you partner, it says here, and we didn't talk about this yet. In short, Balloon Mission is partnering with Covanta, a solid waste to energy solution here on Long Island, which converts all the balloon materials into energy. And through funding, from donations, sponsorships, grants, etc., we recycle these into products like industrial flooring. What? Hold on a second.
So
Tell me about
okay,
that.
so we have several end of use solutions. One is in the short term, we're sending our balloons to Covanta, which they do incineration here. We don't have landfills where we are right now. And in the long term, our long-term solution and our goal, and it is being realized, we partner with balloon designers who are actually using this end of use solution, is to send the balloons to TerraCycle. TerraCycle melts down the balloons into little plastic pellets and then recycles them into industrial flooring and industrial pallets. My hope is that someday through funding, we will be able to turn a balloon into a balloon bin and get those balloon bins out
How
into the
cool is
communities.
that? How cool the
True
whole
circularity.
yeah, I love that.
That's
That's so fun.
yeah.
I'm gonna be there with you when I don't know if it's a ribbon cutting, but whenever we place that first balloon bin that's made out of balloons, I want to be there. That's fun. I'll bring Italian ices as long as it's not the winter time. But I just think something I had an idea while you're saying that. Like, it's not the responsibility of the vendor or merchant who's selling balloons necessarily to be involved with this process, but I'm curious, have you considered that there might be, you know, those who are the ones who sell these things, it's not their responsibility maybe, or listen, if you want to think from a social perspective and a human perspective, maybe it is, it's all of our responsibility. But, what do you think about that? Like having buy-in from, I don't know, the balloon manufacturer or the place that
Yes.
sells the balloons. What do you think?
So, Tommy, bingo. So it's called extended producer responsibility, and New Jersey passed extended producer responsibility a couple of years ago, which means that anything that is manufactured, you're manufacturing a product which is going to end up being a piece of litter. There's a cost for that litter, right? And we need to be able to manage the waste that we're creating. And whether that's going to be recycling, education, talking to our children about we should be mindful about do you need to buy another t-shirt? You're just creating waste. Why don't you go to the thrift store and buy something that's already there? Manufacturers, there should be EPR, extended producer responsibility, for the litter that they're creating.
You know what the problem is? I'm sorry, finish your thought and then I'm going to tell you what I think about that.
So until that happens, we all need to step up and take an active role in what we're buying, consuming. We have to move from this linear take, make, toss society to something of more circularity and stewardship. So indigenous people used to have a great synergy with our planet and respect for it. We've kind of lost sight of that, and we need to get that back.
100%. I mean, listen, this is going to get me lambasted, I'm sure, if anybody is on the other side of what I'm about to say. So here it is, gang. Consumerism, capitalism is a shenanigans play, gang. All it is Madison Avenue trying to get you to buy more things because you don't feel good about yourself. And if you do feel good about yourself, they're going to tell you why you don't feel good about yourself. So you're going to buy their thing. All right. It's crazy, planned obsolescence, the whole deal, right?
Obsolescence.
Set up, gang. It's set up. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry to tell you, but that $1,000 bag, I'm not going to mention the names of that $1,000 bag you need to carry around in, or those, 12 pairs of sneakers you got and stuff like that. Listen, maybe it makes you feel good, but like you're good. You're actually great without the sneakers and without the bag, and this is it's probably a whole nother series I got to just talk about because
it truly is.
thing.
We create so much pollution. We don't have anywhere to go or to put it. We have to ship. Covanta takes about 40 to 50% of our garbage. The rest of it is being shipped out of state. we don't have where. Could you imagine being in Pennsylvania and getting New York garbage?
I
Like,
always wonder that. Like, I have this idea for an art project that I'm going to do. I just haven't sat down to do it yet. And I'll get to it. And I thought about it from the beginning of the show today. It's like, because here's what I kind of laugh about. It doesn't go anywhere. It just moves. Like, it doesn't. So eventually, right? Like, if we don't screw this place up so bad that we're gone, but like eventually the whole place is covered in garbage, right? Like,
That's
because you're
correct.
just moving it from one part of the planet to the other.
and we're running out of space.
Right, it's just listen, it's finite. The planet's only so big. I'm getting on the soapbox. I know. I'll try to stop, gang, but try to be part of the solution, everybody. Like, how many things do you need? Like, not a lot. I actually am jealous sometimes of people who don't have a lot of things, who just can't. And I don't mean that they're poor or they don't have access to things, who they've made a decision, like a really educated decision to just say, are they a minimalist? I don't know. But they're just like I was talking to, so look, we're running out of time. It's always happening on the show. We never run out of words. We always run out of time. But it's like, George Carlin, I was telling this story last night. George Carlin, the comedian, great comedian, and such a thoughtful, not just a comedian. To say he's a comedian is really just not enough, but like so thoughtful. How's this thing about stuff? All the stuff we have, right? And then like you buy a bigger house because you bought more stuff. But like, if you think where all that stuff is and you look at all the stuff you have, and if my wife was listening, she'd be like, maybe you should clean the attic. But like, but all that stuff like that we have and we collect and we never actually use, like, why do you have to go out and buy more of the stuff and buy a bigger house? And what's the one that gets me all the time, Cynthia? Well, they just built one by my house over here, the storage facility, because now you got to put all that stuff you can't fit in your house somewhere else. So crazy stuff. So I said the word again. Look, what else you want to share? We're running out of time. How do we help? How do we become part of the solution, not the problem?
Yep, we have a lot of events coming up, beach cleanups. Visit our beautiful website, join the mission, collect balloons, host a bin, volunteer. We need help with everything. It's me running the show with some help from my friends. And in order for us to keep going in 2024, we need support, we need money.
What events? Shout out the events. You have the dates and stuff like that?
Yeah, we have next week we have a balloon survey and beach cleanup with the New York State DEC and New York State Parks. March 21st. We have New York City Earth Day initiative. That's April 14th. That's at Union Square Park, East 17th Street and Park Avenue South. We have lots of Earth Day events happening on Long Island, Town of Huntington, Town of Babylon, Stony Brook University's Earthstock. Got a lot.
That's awesome. I'm trying to share the website as we go to a close right here. So this is the website. I didn't click on this yet, but find a balloon bin near you so you can do that. And so gang right here, balloonmission.org. We are out of time. And listen, what I wanted to say to you at the close here is, I want to be part of your team. I want to help. I want to be, when these events are coming up, as soon as the weather gets warm, we'll come out. But I'll come out either way. But I mean, when the weather gets warmer, I'll bring the Italian ices. So shout out to my dad. Shout out to my dad. Shout out to my dad. Ralph's Ice is in Huntington, right next to the Paramount Theater. If you go in there, tell them you're a friend of Tommy D's. I'm not sure what it'll mean, but try it. Listen, Cynthia, I appreciate you. Shout out to Heather Edwards. If it's not for Heather looking out for me, we never meet. Or maybe it would have taken longer for us to meet. I'm sure we would have hooked up at some point and connected. But thank you for being here. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for changing the world. You're making the world a better place. Don't ever doubt that. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Make it a great day, everybody. We'll see you next Friday. Bye.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his